Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I'm back today with somewhat of an impromptu response video actually. This is a response to a video made by Torment in which he discussed his top 10 bands of all time. So that's something that I've always wanted to do and I thought it would actually be quite difficult. As it happens, it was easy, but it's something I'd really like to share and it's something different. It looked like a fun idea. So he mentioned it's not specifically a thread, it was more like you can provide responses if you want, but better still, if you want to make a video, go ahead. So that's what I'm doing. So if you're new to the channel, you won't know that my three favorite styles of music are heavy metal, death metal, and black metal. So the top 10 will encompass that. I haven't actually put them in numerical order. These are just alphabetical order, but my top 10 bands, especially it's difficult when they're crossing genres, but yeah, anyway, if you haven't checked out the channel Maze of Torment, go and do so. He's got a massive collection and a really good taste in extreme music, and I enjoy watching his videos. So he has a lot of subscribers already, but his videos are really enjoyable, so go and check it out if you haven't. So what he also did was he mentioned some honorable mentions or runners up, you know, so bands which are almost in the top 10 but not quite. I have done the same. So effectively, you're going to hear my top 20 bands. So I have 10 runners-up or honorable mentions, and then the top 10 bands. So very quickly going through the runners-up, these are bands which I really like a lot, but they didn't quite make the top 10. They include, again in alphabetical order, AC/DC, Alcatraz, Autopsy, Emperor, Enslaved, Impaled Nazarene, Judas Priest, Medieval Demon, which is a fantastic Greek black metal band. I only discovered them in the last couple of years, but honestly every album is brilliant, so I included them. Also Satyricon and Summon. So they are 10 to 20 basically. So now we'll get straight into the list, talking about my top 10 bands, again in alphabetical order. Okay, so first of all, Cannibal Corpse. So this band needs no introduction. In my opinion, they are the quintessential death metal band. A lot of people say they're overrated or overhyped. I strongly disagree. This is probably the most influential death metal band of all time. Point of contention maybe, but I've been a fan of this band since I was 14 years old when I heard the song Hammer Smashed Face and haven't looked back. This band has basically two main eras involving the two different vocalists, so Chris Barnes and George Fisher. I like both or all eras of the band. With Vile, which was the first album with George, that's where the musical style changed a bit. It got a bit faster and more technical, although Tomb of the Mutilated was also fast and technical, but in any case, I like all albums. So this is the debut, of course, Eaten Back to Life, that iconic artwork. And I've just pulled out some other ones, so other classics from the early period, of course, Butchered at Birth from the Chris Barnes era. And these are some other ones from the mid-period, which I think are underrated. The Wretched Spawn, fantastic album. And also, from almost very recently, Red Before Black. Sorry about the glare there. The artwork's pretty crap, they should have enhanced the color, but yeah, fantastic album. So yeah, just solid, consistent, brutal death metal. They've never really released a bad album. The only one I didn't like so much was Kill from 2006, but having said that, I still think it's good. So there we go, Cannibal Corpse. Okay, up next, Dark Funeral, and I'll take this out because it's annoying. Yeah, so classic Swedish black metal band, of course. A lot of people, again, like to shit on this band, you know, saying that they're quite boring because it's just full of blast beats and monotonous riffs. I completely disagree. I think this band has a really unique sound and I like their songwriting style. Again, they are a very consistent band, and I've followed this band ever since the early days, pretty much since this album, Secrets of the Black Arts. This is probably their most classic, but really all of their albums are pretty good. There were a couple that I didn't like, as you may have heard me say before. So they are Atera Totus Sanctus and Angelus Pro Excelsi. Yeah, those two ones not so good. But then they've had some ones after that which are great. For example, this is controversial, but I think this is their best album of all time actually, Where Shadows Forever Reign. So second newest album, but it's brilliant. Also the new album is great, so Dark Funeral. All right. Okay, up next, Darkthrone, so essential Norwegian black metal. I've been a fan of this band for a long time too. This was the first album I ever heard by them, so it'll always be my favorite. Under a Funeral Moon, that's a popular one, it's a classic. A lot of people say about this band, while they were influential, a lot of sort of cult people only follow the first 3 albums after Soulside Journey and then say the rest is crap. I think that's narrow-minded. They've actually released, I wouldn't say all of the albums have been brilliant, but most of them have at least been really good. And what I like about it is they've sort of developed their style, shifting to other genres, including punk and heavy metal and everything, but they always retain that black metal element. But they're ahead of the pack because they're doing something different. But this album, if you haven't heard it, go and check it out. Brilliant. So Darkthrone. Okay, so up next, shifting to some death metal, Dismember. So this is a band, this was the first extreme metal band I ever heard in my life, basically. Again, when I was 14 years old, I just heard the Pieces, our EP, in the shop and became a fan. Just brilliant, brutal yet melodic Swedish death metal, and it's fantastic that they've made a comeback recently. They reunited a few years ago and they're doing tours again. This is probably my favorite album, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream, their most famous and classic, I would say. And also I have a soft spot for this one, Pieces, the EP, which I first heard back in the day. Yeah, but I think all of their albums are really good. Like even some of the later ones, like Death Metal and Hate Campaign, they suffered from overly raw production, I thought, but I think overall the band is brilliant. So Dismember, and I'm yet to get the new self-titled album, but I want to. Okay, up next, going back to some black metal, another favorite band of mine in my top 10, Enthroned, from Belgium, of course. So Belgian black metal band, criminally underrated. They've been through a few eras as well, primarily defined by their 2 vocalists, so Lord Sabathan and then later on Norneges, the guitarist who took over. But yeah, really brilliant stuff. Like it's just fast, aggressive black metal. In the early days, they used keyboards, and then they went through a sort of Marduk era, and then they've evolved into something different, which is fantastic. But yeah, just show you a picture of the band if you haven't seen them. But yeah, I think this is just a criminally underrated band, maybe due to where they come from. It's not a Scandinavian country, so they're overlooked, but absolutely fantastic. And like I said, their sound has evolved over time, but I like pretty much all of their stuff. Every album is worth checking out. From the mid-period, this is a classic album, still from the Sabathan era. This is Carnage in Worlds Beyond. Fantastic, criminally underrated. And also, if you check out their newer stuff, it's kind of ritualistic and psychedelic and experimental. And I think the best example of that is Cold Black Suns, which is their newest, I think. So there you go, Enthroned from Belgium. All right, coming up next, this will be no surprise to people. I've shown this album quite a bit. Immortal, yet essential Norwegian black metal, absolutely brilliant. They have been one of my favorite bands since the teen years again. The first album I heard, the first song I heard was Unsilent Storms in the North Abyss. Of course, the first 3 or 4 albums are brilliant. This is my favorite, Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism. The 4th one, Blizzard Beast, a lot of people said that was shit. I actually really enjoyed that. And then, of course, they went through a sound change as well when Demonaz left the band. So they sort of slowed down and became more epic and majestic, but still really great stuff. So there's no Immortal that I dislike. The only album I don't know so well is All Shall Fall. But even the newest one, Northern Chaos Gods with Demonaz on vocalist, is brilliant. So yeah, Immortal, classic. Okay. All right, up next. So this is sort of a cliched choice, but cliches and stereotypes come from somewhere. This has been consistently just one of my favorite bands ever since I was a teenager. Of course, Iron Maiden. So when one thinks of heavy metal, one thinks of Iron Maiden for sure. I was going to show Number of the Beast, but of course everyone shows that, so I decided to show an underrated album from the sort of mid-period, I guess. This is brilliant, No Prayer for the Dying. Now, on the topic of Iron Maiden, there are some albums that I don't like Up to Brave New World, I think is really good. I'm not so much a fan of the Blaze Bayley era, but some songs were okay, like Virus. And then sort of after Brave New World, they lost me with a lot of albums. However, this album I thought was really boring when I first heard it, but I've actually grown to love it. The newest one, Senjutsu, a lot of people love to hate it, but honestly, just give it a chance. It is brilliant. And that's actually inspired me to go back and check out some of their other albums which I overlooked, like The Final Frontier, and yeah, they're pretty good. They're growing on me. But yeah, it's just been one of those bands that's consistently been with me over the years, since the teen years. So yeah, Iron Maiden. All right, now up next, this is a band I know a lot of people don't like them, and it's sort of like, this is a band that you either love them or hate them, and I'm the former. So I'm talking, of course, about Kiss. So band that needs no introduction, iconic with their image and everything. It's quite funny, this band is renowned for their explosive stage shows, you know, pyrotechnics, blood, makeup, shooting rockets and everything. Yeah, that's all fantastic. But really, I think this band is not a case of image over substance. They write really hooky, catchy songs, and I just love them. All eras, including, this is the original 70s lineup, you know, and also the unmasked era in the 80s, and then of course they put the makeup back on with the reunion in 1996. So there's no albums by Kiss that I really dislike. Like from the unmasked era, this is Asylum. It's just fantastic, very underrated album as well, sort of going into sort of 80s hair metal direction. That's brilliant. And then Revenge from 1992 was sort of hard and heavy and raw, which was great. And then after Ace and Peter left the band, they got two new guys in, you know, Tommy and Eric, and I actually think they made a really good album with Sonic Boom. I think this one is underrated, and it's just quality if you give it a chance. Yes, it's not the original lineup, but it's brilliant. There's only two albums by Kiss that I don't like. So first of all, Music from the Elder, which was sort of experimental rock opera garbage. Oh, but even that had some good songs, and of course the most recent album, Monster. Not good, sorry, but just full of cliches, very plastic sounding, and the songs just weren't that interesting, apart from Back to the Stone Age. But yeah, Kiss, just a classic band, and they've been with me over a couple of decades as well, so yeah, what can I say? All right, coming up next, this will be no surprise to people who watch my channel. Oh, and I forgot to pull out a vinyl actually, but I've got... Okay, up next we have some more Swedish black metal, Marduk. So it'll be no surprise to people who've watched my channel for a while. This is my favorite black metal band of all time. Just really fantastic band, and I think despite their fame, they're still underrated. The early period was sort of raw and atmospheric, then the mid period was blasting and aggressive, and then the latter day period they sort of shifted their themes. But I like all of their albums, like and all of their eras. Just a fantastic band. And yeah, there's not a lot to say. Just check out the albums if you haven't, but I think this band really has something unique. So this is my favorite album, Those of the Unlight. And from the mid period, my favorite albums are Heaven Shall Burn and Panzer Division Marduk. This was with the classic lineup, which included Morgan, Legion, Be-War, and Frederick. That's what most people consider to be the best lineup, including me. But like I said, I really enjoy the early era. And it was sort of after World Funeral onwards, that I feel that I don't like those albums as much as the early or mid period, but they're still really good, so don't get me wrong. And some of the latter day albums are absolutely fantastic as well. So like Victoria, this is an example of a very modern album by Marduk, which is brilliant. So they've never lost it, just a solid, consistent black metal band. All right, and coming up to the last one. This is one that I only discovered a few years ago, actually, but I think they're just such a brilliant band, or his entity is a brilliant band. Satanic Warmaster from Finland, you know, which is sort of raw, lo-fi black metal, but with so much melody and atmosphere. There's use of keyboards and acoustic guitars. I think this guy, Werewolf, who's the main guy behind the project, he's just a musical genius, and he can just pump out riffs like there's no tomorrow. He's just really right on the money with the black metal sound. So fantastic Finnish black metal. This is probably this is the first one I actually heard. This is Karelian Satanist Madness, which is a classic. But my other favorite one, I'm not sure which one is my favorite, is this masterpiece here, Nachtterror. Awesome album. And it includes my favorite Satanic Warmaster song, which is Rotting Raven's Blood. So yeah, not that well known, but kind of, yes. But if you haven't checked this band out and you like black metal, definitely do so, because it's brilliant. Satanic Warmaster. So there we go, guys. They are my top 10 favorite bands of all time. And that list came together faster than I thought, actually, and I enjoyed mixing the styles. So thanks a lot, Devon, for making this. I know it wasn't officially a thread, but just for giving me the inspiration to make this video. It was fun to do. And guys, if you haven't checked out his channel, go and do so. Also, if you've made it to the end, maybe tell me your top 10 favorite bands in the comments, or even better, you could do a video response to Devon. That's the guy behind Maze of Torment. So, okay guys, so I'll leave it there. If you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So I'll be back again soon with an unboxing and review. Looking forward to that, and I'll see you soon. Bye.